everybody. We're still here. I'm sitting in my front room. Dean's still in lockdown in the biggest house in the world. How are you, mate?
I'm all right. I've been out doing some techers with my little RDLC football, so I'm feeling a little bit.
I'll be honest with you, mate. That looks like it's actually the right size for you.
Why do you call me shorty? Because you're small. Small. SMO.
Brilliant. It's literally.
I'll set him up. You knock him over.
It's like press your head. You look like Striker. Right. So the question we're answering today is about hiring experienced recruiters. Now, this comes with massive caveats. I'm not a fan of taking on experienced people historically, but there's a moment in time, and that's now, that there are some really great people around, and we just need to sort the right ones out. Someone who was historically generating 300, 400, 500, £1,000 on perm up until 30 weeks ago was candidate driven, candidate centric. If in doubt, send it out. Get a great candidate Monday, send them out on 3 first interviews on a Tuesday, great candidate Wednesday, 3 first interviews on a Thursday, take Fridays off, and you're pretty much guaranteed you're going to get paid. The competencies of today aren't that, unless you're working in America and Germany. So it's very, very different. So being competency based. So to ask you the question, Dinos, because we're going to have to keep this one kind of short because we could talk about this for hours.
Yeah.
Dean, how would you look to hire experienced talent right now?
I would now. And whenever I've looked at experienced talent, it's not been, I suppose, at principal, team leader. It's a bit higher. Somebody who's probably stifled where they are, but has got capacity to go on and do something else. I think the biggest thing is it's a real hit and miss with new people that come with no misconceptions, preconceptions. You got this blank canvas and you make it what you make it. And you know, no truer place than that was S3, where I spawned from, and many others did. And I don't think when I was there that anybody I spoke to had come from another recruitment company. I'd done 1 week at another recruitment company because I'd got the futures job and just went there to see if I'd learn anything. I didn't. It was dark resourcing. It collapsed about a year later. So you've got to do your referencing. It's any recruiter can go and sit in an interview and tell you exactly what you want to hear, right? Do your referencing. Make sure you do your referencing. My biggest thing is that people don't leave for the intrinsic stuff for slightly more money somewhere else. And if you're buying someone, I'm paying a little bit more on your basic and a little bit more on your commission for your black book. I'm paying more for less. And when that black book runs out, or after covenants, you can't really win that business back. That's a really, really poor buy for me. If I'm taking on experienced people, it's purely on what they're looking for, why they're leaving. And if it's clarity of goal, I'm in a big business, I can't go anywhere. I can only do that in the next 5 years, but actually I've got bigger ambitions. I've been in this same role for 2 or 3 years now, and it's not really going anywhere. I haven't done a deal for a few months, and actually I'd like to go somewhere else, because that's just the wrong reason to hire. And that's why I've never been a fan of hiring what they call experienced talent, because I think the return on it's pretty low. But as you say, I think if you're panning for all these pebbles at the moment, there are bits of gold in there. And, if you can find it, you're onto a winner at a good time.
Also, that I don't think the rec-to-rec industry has really helped people, because a recruiter who's struggling to hit a target was getting bombarded by rec-to-rec saying, I can get another 5K, get another 6K. So they could actually accelerate their earnings on their basic salary way faster than they could hit the target, which means they're being massively overpaid and inflated values. But there are some people out there who you could actually just go and cherry pick to say, you will take me somewhere faster. But it's typically someone who's going to head up a division, or who's going to bring something new or be something creative.
I'm a creative genius, and there's no other way to word it.
What? Well, one of the things that we've seen, that if you're trying to grow out of your business and you're trying to put your accelerated growth on steroids, one of the cleverest ways to do it is look to take an entire team on. So rather than actually just take 1 or 2 people, you could actually take the heart out of a business, the 4 people who are the core of a division. I mean, it's a bit naughty, but it's a brilliant way. You could double their salaries, but actually that's the core of a business where you don't have to pay a multiple to actually effectively buy the whole company. You can actually just buy the revenue generators. And we've seen...
James Carl?
Is it? Okay, but do you know what? It's not just him, right? There's lots of people who are doing that stuff, and it's if you're really up for escalating your growth, then you can do that. You can buy a whole team. Then the onus is on you to make sure that your value proposition is really cool. Why would they want to come and join you? What's so special about you that they want to hold your shirt tails? Yeah. What's your vision? What's your storytelling like? Can you support this? What's your funding like? So if you can actually build a business like that, but then you can then there's a whole different raft of options available to you in terms of escalating that growth.
Yeah, it's an interesting one because it's a difficult one. I think we saw probably 10 years ago the introduction of springboarding into people's contracts, so they can't take different people. So I think you've got to be aware. You've got to look at the legalities of it. But it's also it's a more drawn out sale. You've not got a rec to rec bringing someone with you to you on a Monday that you're going to hire on Friday and they're going to start in a few weeks' time. It's a drawn out process, and very much like if I take it right back to 99 when I did some headhunting, and I took a whole team out and put them in another business. It took me 6 months, and I had to start at the top, and I had to sow those seeds, and I have to get them understanding why it's better somewhere else. And you can't go from the bottom. The manager or the director is not going to take the lowest member of staff coming out and saying, look, I've got a really good idea. Should we all move over to Gary's? So it does take time, and you do need to have that drip down effect. But if you get it right, the uptick is amazing. It's just like that, bosh, and off it goes. So yeah, I think you've got to be aware of it, and you've got to understand it. If you can do it, hat off to you. It's a really good way to do it.
Also, you shouldn't just be buying people. It shouldn't be based on how much more money you're getting. No, you might be moving people sideways onto a bigger ladder, or it's someone who's been a top biller forever. Effectively, they're going to grow a team now for you. So they're going from being top biller to trainee manager. Now, is that the same salary? It's I remember once upon a time saying to people, if I'm going to put you on my management program, it's, the maximum income was going to be like 70 plus 20. You're on 90K to be this first tier proper manager. And they were saying, well, I'm earning 150. Why would I do it? I went, well, if you want to carry on recruiting for the rest of your life, you do that. But to be the first tier of our management, that's what it looks like. Now, we had very few people turn us away because they'd seen the escalation, and then that might put them on a fast track towards some sort of ownership and share ownership. But effectively, if you've got someone over here who wants to join your business and you're having to give them a 20 grand pay rise and 10% of some sort of share ownership, just don't do it. I mean, that's such a gamble.
I struggle a little bit with today's market in that I always took risks. So when I went and worked for you in 97, 8,
here we go.
But I did, to get into a new market, I dropped my salary by 2/3, right, to have a go. When I left you and I went to another business, it had slightly better commission, slightly better whatever else, but I had none of the support. I had none of the input that I was getting every single day. And you don't know until suddenly it's like someone's pushed you out the front door and you're like, hold on, where'd everyone go? Where was this amazing? And you remember back then that team in London was absolutely off the hook, brilliant. But I think I'd learned enough, and I went on and did that. And I was there for a bit, and I built really brilliantly, amazingly well. And being one of the biggest billers around. And then I got headhunted to go to another business, to run a team, to be a director. But again, what I was earning pro rata, what I was going to go down to, still more in terms of the uplift in basic salary, but I cut my money by more than half to have another go. Then I went and started my own business. I went down to zero again, right? I just saved up my money and did it. And I think people these days, when they're moving for a bigger basic or a bigger this, that, or the other. No one's moving really because of their aspirations, where in America they call it sweat equity. I tell you what, you can take a lower salary, but I'm going to give you a piece of the company. You're going to have skin in the game. You're going to be a material part of my future. and we're going to do this together. And in America, they love that. Over here, yes, you get people who will do that, but I reckon we're safety first predominantly in this country. And that's maybe why we're not that happy with wealth generators in the papers and the press and whatever else, because everybody's safety first and don't push too hard and don't put your neck out there. Whereas the few of us who do, and like the IDLC, you see dividends for it. And even if you don't do as well as someone else in whatever measure that you're bringing to the table in terms of kind of correlation of that, the self-satisfaction you get from trying something and doing something rather than sitting back and letting it grate you that you could. How many people say, I could have done this, I had a great idea, I was going to do that, I coulda, shoulda, right? Just do it. If you fail, you'll still be happy. Right, you'll still be happy, and I think that's the problem with people who've got experience who aren't making a move for the right reason.
But with all those jobs, Dean, I think you've got some really bad decision-making strategies. So we do need to work on that.
That's a poor CV, that one.
That's job hopper. You won't get a job around near me. But just to finish up, when you are looking at these people, do make sure that you're going to win their hearts and minds. And we always talk about PhDs. They're poor, hungry, and driven. You want people who are still super motivated. They need to use SPQ as well.
Absolutely.
So don't
use it on everybody.
If you're looking at,
brilliant.
We're not massive fans of psychedelics or psychometrics, but this one is the one. It's the only one, and it is phenomenal to get to understand the nature of an individual. A
little thing that I always do with that, and a little task is once you understand what an SPQ is, SPQ Gold, how it represents itself, before you open it up about the person you just interviewed, make sure you've written your notes on what you think, because we've all got unconscious bias, and it's good to know that I would say 90% of the time plus you're spot on about that individual, but sometimes there's little gems in there that you might have missed because you've been oversold and you like this one because they're overselling, rather than this one actually is going to be the person who is going to break down the doors for you. So an SPQ Gold is such a brilliant measure. I would recommend that for anybody. Is it on there?
It is on there. Yeah, but actually, to be fair, we made up that logo because we didn't like his one. Right, so love you, Dominic. Right, so thank you very much for listening. Hopefully that's some help with you, and keep scaling and growing your businesses as fast as you can. It's all right out there. Cheers.
Shalom.